courtroom was silent, heavier than anything I had ever felt. Every eye was on me. They thought I was finished. My reputation ruined, my credibility gone, but they didn't know I had been preparing for months. Outside these walls, I had faced betrayal. Colleagues who once smiled at me now whispered behind my back. I had lost more than my job. I had lost trust in everyone around me. Fear, anger, and frustration burned inside me. I kept quiet. I watched. I collected proof. Small steps, careful moves, nothing flashy. Each document, each recorded conversation was a piece of the puzzle. I didn't rush. I waited. Patience was my weapon. The judge called the case. My heart pounded, but my hands stayed steady. Every step to the podium was measured. They assumed silence meant surrender. They assumed I had given up. But the truth was simple. Silence had been my plan, my quiet, calculated strategy. This courtroom, once a place of fear, was about to change. They were about to see that I wasn't done, that being underestimated could be more dangerous than any loud protest. After the humiliation, I didn't act. I didn't scream. I didn't quit. I knew rushing would ruin everything. Every move I made had to be precise, every step calculated. I spent nights going over the details in my head. Who could be trusted? Who was lying? Who would try to stop me? I started small, notes, emails, recordings, anything that could prove the truth. Each piece mattered. I couldn't afford mistakes. The fear inside me was real, but I turned it into focus. Every time someone tried to push me down, I reminded myself, patience is power. Some nights I sat alone, thinking about how everything had changed. Friends were gone, colleagues had turned. I felt isolated, but isolation gave me clarity. I learned who I really was, who I could become. The courtroom wasn't just a place for judgment, it was a stage, and I was about to perform, quietly but undeniably. They thought I was weak, that I would crumble. But I was planning, silently. Every hidden detail, every overlooked fact was a step closer to my moment. The moment where silence would speak louder than the day of the hearing arrived. My stomach was a storm of nerves, but my mind was calm. I knew every detail, every fact, every truth that could prove them wrong. They sat across from me, smug smiles on their faces. They still thought I was finished. I remembered every insult, every whisper behind my back, the times they laughed at my ideas, the times they tried to make me doubt myself. All of it fueled me. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. I had a plan, and I was ready to execute it. As the judge called my name, I walked to the stand, heads turned, eyes narrowed. I held my papers, not as weapons but as evidence of months of preparation. Each line I spoke was deliberate. Each pause built tension. They expected hesitation. They expected fear. They got confidence. The room felt heavier with every second. Murmurs faded. The gavel hit. Silence. Then the judge spoke. That one sentence. And everything changed. Faces went pale. Smiles vanished. The arrogance that had filled the room evaporated in an instant. They realized they had underestimated me. I had been silent, watching, waiting. But now, every hidden truth, every overlooked detail, every quiet hour of planning was out in the open. I wasn't just defending myself. I was reclaiming what was mine: respect, credibility, power. In that silent courtroom, I realized the strength of patience, of preparation, of knowing your own worth. They thought I was finished, but the judge's words proved them wrong. And in that moment, I felt unstoppable. The courtroom was tense. Every eye was on me. They still didn't know what was coming. My silence had worked in my favor. All those months of planning, all that careful waiting, were about to pay off. I opened my folder slowly. Each document, each piece of evidence was placed in front of me with precision. No theatrics, just facts. The judge looked at me. I nodded, calmly, confidently. They thought I would stumble. They thought I would panic. They were wrong. Memories of betrayal flashed in my mind. The colleagues who lied. The friends who disappeared. The people who doubted me. But now, none of it mattered. I had control. Every whisper of doubt, every hint of arrogance from them, I was ready to crush with facts. I spoke clearly, steadily, each point hit like a hammer. Every lie they had spread was revealed. The room shifted. Murmurs turned to gasps. Eyes widened. They realized this was not just a defense, it was a reckoning. I had been quiet, but I was far from powerless. The judge's eyes met mine, no interruptions. Just listening, absorbing. And I could see it, the moment of truth approaching. Every silent hour, every patient night, every careful step had led here. I wasn't just proving them wrong. I was taking back everything they thought they could take from me: respect, credibility, justice. Silence ruled the room again. But this time, it was my silence. The silence of someone who had prepared, waited, and was finally in control. They had thought I was finished. They were about to learn the cost of underestimating me. The final moment had come. The courtroom held its breath. Every whisper, every stare, every doubt was focused on me. They thought I was done, finished, But I wasn't. I was ready. The judge leaned forward. One sentence. That was all it took. And suddenly the tide turned. Faces went pale. Smug smiles vanished. They realized the truth. Every lie they had told, every attempt to undermine me was exposed. The silence I had carried for months became my loudest statement. I felt a rush not of revenge but of justice. The satisfaction of knowing patience had won. I had waited. I had prepared. I had stayed calm. And now, the truth spoke for me. As the gavel fell, I looked around. Some avoided my gaze. Some stared, stunned. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. This was more than winning. This was reclaiming my power, my respect, my voice. I had been underestimated. I had been doubted. But today, in that silent courtroom, I proved that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it observes. And sometimes it strikes when least expected. Walking out, I felt lighter, stronger, free. They had thought I was finished. They were wrong, and I knew no one would ever doubt me like that again.